pastors here at Cross Point, and I'm not the only one here. And so, if you're here for the first time, you're in for a treat. I want to tell you that. Not because everyone else is really bad, but because I never get to come up here anymore. And so, I'm gonna talk as long as I can until I get Big Ray over here. In fact, what Drew told him was that if I do anything I'm not supposed to do, Big Ray is going to come out of nowhere, maybe from the Raptors, and just literally take me out. So that's the treat that you may see from me being here, is Ray tackling me as hard as he possibly can, just to get me off the stage. Yeah, so Drew says you're talking about fight. Fight. Let me tell you, anybody in here had a fight before? Yeah, awesome! Not awesome, okay. So we get in fights a lot. I got in one fight when I was growing up, and this kid, he always picked on me. I got bullied, even back when I was in school, like in the 60s. And so I got bullied, and one day I showed him who's boss. So what he would do is, as I would be walking home, and I'd just be minding my own business, right? And I'm walking home, and he had a bike. I went to school with him yet, I didn't have a bike. I don't think I even knew how to ride a bike. And so I'm walking home being cool, right? And what he would do all the time is he would take his bike and he would ride as close he would come up as close as he can next to me, going as fast as he can, and he would just push me over, right? Every day. You're supposed to go, aww. So let me tell you what I did. One day I made a game plan. And I said, I'm gonna look when he's coming. And I always knew for the most time that there was this big plant. It was a thorn bush. And I saw this plant all the time, and I knew one day that I was just gonna make sure that I timed it out, that when he rode by me, it was just going to be maybe by that thorn bush. And so I saw him coming, and I was, you do the fake walk. You're like, I'm not going anywhere because the thorn bush is right here. I'm just waiting for that guy to ride by, and he rode by as fast as he can, and I pushed him in that thorn bush, and I ran home. And that's my fight story. That's what I did. I don't know if I did. I don't remember anything else. I don't know. I don't know. At this point, I know that I pushed him in the thorn bush, I ran home, and I felt like a man. Right? Let me tell you, when I think about you can't stop me, I feel like my daughter says that a lot. I have a bunch of kids and a bunch of daughters, but one, her name is Kirby, and Kirby's awesome, and I feel like her motto in life is you can't stop me, right? And I feel like she says it to her brothers, so she says it to me, you can't stop me. And I feel bad for our son, who is older, okay? My son is older than his sister. And I hear him just going, Dad, help! And Kirby's just sitting on top of him going, what? What? I dare you to call Dad. I dare you. You're crying. Kirby's boss. And I walk in there, and I want to get mad at Kirby, right? But I'm more mad at my son, who is being beat by a girl that is younger than him, and it's his sister, right? So I get on to him sometimes, son, you gotta take up for yourself, right? It's a girl, right? I know her life motto is you can't stop me, but son, stop her. I'm like, so I just kind of give those encouraging words. Just, not like, kick your sister. But just kind of like, hey, stand up for yourself, right? So one day we're in the car, and we're eating ice cream, and Kirby started singing that song, You Can't Stop Me. So she just grabbed his ice cream cone. He punched her in the face. And I looked in the rearview mirror, and he's just looking back at me like, I'm in trouble now, son. It's calm. Not because he punched his sister in the face. But he says that. I think sometimes that's what we think about fight, right? We're thinking, kicking and punching and fight. But it's really interesting. If you think about the word fight. In fact, I'm going to walk through some things with you real quick because we have a little acronym here for you. And I want to see how much you remember Pastor Drew or Pastor Brian. F. Anybody remember what F stands for? Freedom. You just say it. What is it? Freedom? Freedom. You know what's great about freedom? Is I learned this. You fight. Listen, ready? You fight because at one time you felt free and now you don't. And this is the reason why you fight. Think about this. This is crazy. But the reason you ever want to fight something is because you tasted freedom and then the freedom got taken away and you want to fight. And so what we're trying to make sure we realize when we are believers in Jesus is being a believer in Jesus, we tasted freedom. And what we should be fighting for is fighting against anybody or anything in this world that's trying to take that freedom that we've tasted in Jesus. And we're willing to fight for that. Right? That'd be that's just the normal definition of fight. You've tasted freedom and something or someone's trying to take it away. Right? So here's the next one. Oops. What's the I? Yeah. And so if you didn't know what it was, you got one right. There you go. It's to increase. The Bible says, God, I want you to, and I want to increase. Say, when you also are following a leader, you want to follow that leader. You want to give that leader its power. And what we're saying is, God, look, I need you to take all the power in my life and take the power out of me. Right? All right. What's the G? Glue. All right. So what does that have to do with anything with fight? Let me just tell you. When you are fighting for something, you're fighting for it because you believe in it. Now I'm going to tell you something. If you ever fight for anything, I'm not talking about fist fighting now. I'm talking about if you fight for anything, it's because you believe in it and you sell it. And no matter if they agree with you or not, people listen and people will stick to the things that you say because you believe in it, right? So this whole idea of what it looks like to fight for Jesus, to fight for what we believe in. So these three things, and then we have the H. We already told you it's harmony. I want to make sure you get the definition of harmony before I even go on anymore, okay? But you have to look at me to get the definition, right? If you're not looking at me, it's really hard for me to tell you the definition. So here's the definition, because it's really, really long. It's got a lot of long words. So it's the combination of simultaneously sounded music. So I don't know, when I read this, I feel dumb. Because I read this and I have no idea what it is. So you are smarter than me, hence why you're there, right? But I want to give you a definition. This is a great definition, but I wrote my own definition, okay? It's this. Different instruments or notes working together to create what? Beautiful sound, right? That's harmony. You have different notes or musical instruments working together for one sound. I got a test, and I want to make sure you know what harmony is. I have two pieces of music. I want you to hear them, A and B, and I want you to tell me which one is harmony. Okay, give me A. It goes smoothly, it fits together. Was it still a bunch of instruments? Was it a bunch of different notes? So the definition of harmony is what? Making something beautiful. A bunch of different things coming together and making something beautiful, right? Definition of harmony. Now, let me tell you what's crazy. You ready? The church, God tells us that we need to live in harmony. And here is the reason we're talking about this today. is I don't know if this group is making that sound to everyone else that's listening to you guys. Right? So I want to do one more definition. Definition of church. Because I think this is big when we're talking about harmony. Does anybody, when I say church, you say... Oh, that's smart. Yeah. When I say church, you say... Okay, you say harmony because I told you to say it. No. I say church, you say... Jesus! No, I'm not looking for a church answer. I'm looking, you walked in the door today, and I say church, and what do you think about?
Questions God.
Questions God, what?
Church.
Church. You think, I say church, you think church. That's deep. Ray, when I say church, what do you think?
Church.
Worship. Worship? What does that mean?
Church.
I don't go to church. What does that mean?
When you're praising the
Does anybody think of a building?
Yes.
A steeple?
No.
A pastor?
Yes.
A cross?
No.
Right? We think of everything. Let me say, I read a definition for church. It was the best one I've ever read in my entire life, so I'm going to give it to you right here. Ready? It's members that are closely linked to Christ and vitally related to one another. That is the definition of church. And most of us, when we think church, we're thinking the building, we're thinking a place I go to, we're thinking a place that some guy is on stage and he's yelling at me and he's acting crazy and he's telling stories about his kids, right? But church is the people that are in it. It's not the building itself. And it's your link to Jesus, and it's that you essentially need each other. That's what church is. Now, if you just take that definition, look at me. If you take that definition right there, it's two parts. Your relationship with Jesus and your relationship to each other. And I'll be honest with you, the second part scares me. It scares me because I think that our link to Christ sometimes is scary. And if this is never right, this will never, ever be right. So here's the problem that we face with this definition is believers are not living with a need for each other. You're not living with a need for each other. You are an instrument that's just wanting to play a note. You're an instrument that's just excited that you're on a stage so people can hear your music. You're an instrument, like I used to play the bass. I was an orchestra, alright? And I remember all I ever wanted to do was be first chair. I want to be first chair because I was all about myself. I was all about me. It was all about me. And the thing with harmony is it can't be about you. Harmony begins with selfless people. It's with people, you, saying, I am not just about me. Because let me tell you something. When you have these people, look at me. When you have these people that are creating this great music, and you guys did a great job picking me, right? It was easy to pick because it sounded great. It's the same instruments that were in A. Same one. But in B, you had selfless people that practiced their part, and played the gift that God gave them. And since everybody played the gift that God gave them, it created this beautiful sound. Now let me tell you, they were not just interested in what they could do. They had to look at the gifts of everyone else so that they would have a mutual relationship. Now, this is key. Look at me. The number one way to become a selfless people in harmony is that you actually worry about other people's gifts so that there can be a mutual relationship. Because right now, I think most of the time we come to church and you come for you. Right? And a lot of times we don't come because we go, you know what? I really need my brother and my sister. I really need my brother and sister. There's three things that I want to show you. Three things. And they stem off of this passage because this is huge. It says that how wonderful and pleasant is it when brothers live together or sisters in harmony. Let me tell you who says it's pleasant. God. God's design as the director of the orchestra is to hear sound that is beautiful. This is what He created. He created B. He didn't create A. I think a lot of churches and a lot of times, because we don't care about what other people's gifts are, or we're not in it for each, or we're kind of in it for each other, and we don't really care about anybody else. We're just that band that's just playing the note. Right? I don't care how it sounds because I'm playing my note. I'm playing my note. So there's three things that we need to learn. Because does anybody want to please God? Just raise your hand if you want to please God. Okay, that's awesome. I want to please God. I want to please God so much. I want to please God. Here's three things that can help us please God and having harmony with each other. And really trying to figure this thing out. Okay? Because I want to figure it out. I'm still trying to figure it out. Okay? I'm still trying to figure it out. So here's the three things. Here's the first one. The first one is single-minded. Okay? This is not just, some people are like, oh man, that's good because I'm single. And if you're dating someone, you're like, oh crap. I can't even do the first one. I've got a boyfriend or girl. Here, let me tell you what single-minded is. Single-minded is saying that you depend on one person. Right? So let me give you this scripture real quick. It's in Psalms. It says, I wait quietly before God. I'm going to kind of paraphrase. He alone is my rock. So, I depend on God. Who is the rock of David? Who's writing this? Who's the rock? God. Right? Does he depend on anybody else to be his rock? I need you to speak to me loudly so I know you get it. Does David need anybody else to be his rock? No one else to be his rock. No one. It says, so many enemies are against one man that all of them are trying to kill me. He's basically saying, I got the world against me. But I got one man that's my rock. He alone is my rock and my salvation and my fortress. He's my place that I can go for safety and shelter. I don't need anything else. And this is my favorite part. I want you to read this. My what? Say it. Okay, see, that sounds like you just got beat. Say it again. My what? My victory and honor come from God alone. Let me tell you something. The number one thing in being to be single-minded, the number one thing we have to get is that you have to think about, does your victory come in God alone? Or does your victory come in other things that happen in this world? Because I'm going to tell you something. Most people walk around and your victories in your boyfriend, your victories in your girlfriend, your victories in how happy your parents are, your victories if you have the great shoes on and your great clothes, your victories if you are in the right crowd, your victories are if you made the right sports team, or your victories in, am I accomplishing this thing in the world? And our victories in so many things, and we wonder why isn't this harmony happening? Why isn't the world hearing music coming from this student ministry? Why is it, there are 12 to 15,000 students in Pearland that don't know Jesus. And why aren't they banging down the doors? Because I question what they're hearing. They're seeing people that are calling themselves believers that find their victory in everything else they found victory in. Let me tell you something. It doesn't last very long, does it? Right? It doesn't last very long. It's just kind of like, ooh, this is good now, but then it's gone. And all of a sudden, you're back to the same state they are, and you're really no different, right? Single-minded. I got to go through this quick, because I don't have a lot of time. In fact, I'm probably over my time, and I'm never going to be asked back again, but I'm going to try to go faster, okay? Right? I feel the heat coming over here, like Ray's about to just nail me. All right. So, first thing is what? Single what? Minded. Single-minded doesn't mean you can't date someone, right? It just means that you find your victory in God alone, right? David's real clear about that. Great passage. Here's the next thing. Respect. Now I love this one. Because this is where we get challenged. This is where Pastor Brian got challenged this week. You ready? Look at these two passages. I'm going to go quick, okay? Because they're pretty long. Here's what it says in Romans. We're looking at Romans 15 and Romans 14. It says this. We who are strong must be considerate of others. Basically what it's saying, if you're strong, be considerate of those that are less strong. We must not just please who? Ourselves.